Welcome in from wherever you are. Thanks for being here. It's time for the first ever random block palette challenge. So here's how this works. Here we are at my random block generator. When I press this button, it's going to shoot out 9 random blocks that I have to use for the build in this video. The rules are, 1, I have to use all 9 blocks in the build, and they must all be visible. 2, I can only use the 9 blocks given to me at the start of the video. And 3, I'm allowed to use slabs, stairs, walls, or any variations of the block if it has them. Also, dies represent any blocker item with that color in the name, and logs represent any blocker item of that wood type. And with that, let's go ahead and hit it and see what we get. Okay. Okay. Come on, one more. Okay, not bad. Okay, I think I can do something with this. Let's go find a place to build and we'll get to it. Okay, so here we are. I've cleared out this little area that I think I'm going to use. And I've got all the blocks laid out over here. I went from darkest to lightest so I can kind of see the spectrum that we're working with here. And the first thing I'm thinking is that I can probably use some of these darker blocks for pillars and outlines and stuff like that. And I'm thinking maybe even just use the gold to kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Just like garnish, I guess, or get some of those areas to pop since it'll contrast so much with some of these darker colors. And I'm looking at these other 4 blocks here. Why am I doing this to myself? I'm thinking for a roof, I might actually use this dark prismarine. And so that's going to allow me to bring those dark parts up a little bit, but also break it up with some of the lighter colors. Let me get something going real quick and then I'll come back and we'll see what we have. Okay, so here's what I have so far. I'm using the nether bricks and the mud to make up the columns. I think that brings a lot of attention to the edges. And it also contrasts really well with the sandstone. The other thing I've done is added these gold blocks in the corners. I think that does a good job of just kind of ornamenting those columns, and it brings attention to the tops and bottoms of them. I've also added stone brick trim around the top and bottom, and I think that helps bring those two aspects together a little bit. Something that I'm not sure about is the roof. I've been toying with some prismarine and trying to use the kelp blocks because the kelp blocks are extremely hard. I think the hardest block to use is going to be the kelp blocks in this build just because they're one directional. So for example, if I put a kelp block on the ground, these lines only go up no matter how I place it. So it has to be something either vertical like a column, or I can use this top pattern on the roof, and I think that would actually look really nice as well. So I'm going to try to figure out a way to use those in the roof. So far I don't really have a plan for the moss block yet, but I think I'm going to let that wait, and I might even be able to just do something cool around the outside. And I do have an idea for how to use the light blue. So I'm going to fiddle around with this a little bit more and try to get the roof nailed down and get some of these other blocks in there. And then I think I'm going to start building this thing and see what we can do. Okay, so here we go. We've got a little bit of a shape worked out here. I added some higher points and some different levels onto this just so that we could have a little bit of variation in the height. I also decided that I think I'm going to use the kelp blocks as like a little patio area. And then for the main roof line, I think we'll go with the dark prismarine. And I think that's going to look really nice. And it'll give us a chance to add some cool spaces up there on top. So now I'm going to go in and add the rest of the columns and get the rest of this structure looking nice. I'm also going to try to get those roofs in, and I'll be right back. Okay, so for the patios, we got this one in up top, and it's looking good. We also have this one down below, and you can kind of sit out here and look at the view or whatever you want to do. Other than that, I think this is coming together pretty nice. I've got those roofs in, but I need to get the other two roofs in. And I'm not sure if I should use something like this one where it's more flat, or if I should go with something a little bit taller and bring some more verticality to the build. But I think I'm going to try both, and then we'll see which one I like more. So let's do it. And there it is. So I'm just going to fly around real quick and show you guys what I came up with. You'll notice I added some windows using that blue glass. Over on the side, I added a little deck, and then on the back, you can see there's more windows, and I've also added the roofs. So I was looking at the roof, and I was wondering, how can I use the moss blocks? So I thought, well, maybe if they're just kind of creeping down the top of the roof, it could look cool. It kind of looks rustic, and it gives it more of like an overgrown, sort of rusting feel, which I think is really cool. It also makes the roof less boring, and it brings up the lighter colors towards the top, which actually makes the roof look taller. So unfortunately, I didn't actually pull any wood blocks from the random block generator, and so I've had to be a little bit creative here with the doors. And so what I've done is I've just used banners, those light blue banners, and I put them over just some kelp blocks. I think that looks really slick, and it kind of brings in the colors of the windows into the bottom part of the building too. So I think that worked out really nice. So you'll notice I also used some lanterns in this build, and I think I'm going to allow myself to use decorative blocks and lights and stuff because it just brings a more human feel to the builds. And it's a really important aspect in adding detail and just making a build feel alive. So you'll notice looking at these windows, they've got a vertical line as well as the horizontal lines. And part of that is because of the glass actually touching the block that's behind it. But the other part is actually, if we look behind here, we can see that there's some kelp blocks. And that's actually just going to help break up that window a little bit more into more mullions. And that'll give it more detail and just make it stand out more. You can see we've used all the blocks. We've got the nether brick and the mud and the gold in the columns. And then we're using the blue in the windows. We've also got the kelp blocks as well as the dark prismarine and the moss incorporated into the roof. And I think this turned out pretty good. Before you go, if you want to see how I made my random block palette machine, be sure to click this video or head over to my channel. So there you have it, the very first random block palette challenge. Let me know what you guys think about this. Thanks so much for watching. Please make sure to like it up, sub if you're new, and I'll see y'all next time.